there are more American car delinquencies now than they were during 2008. And I got the chart showing up right here on the screen. During 2008 to 2012, we had subprime delinquencies at about 5%. And right now we're sitting at between 6 and 6.5%. Prime credit is still half of what it was during 2008, but subprime is way up. And a lot of these things have to do with these secular layoffs. And when I talk to people and they say, oh, not my company, not it, it's like, not yet. You are never 100% sure if these layoffs are coming to your company or if they're going to hit. Because no CEO would ever come out and say, we're going to do layoffs because of AI, something else. They would always say, hey, we're going to have a new mission statement because we couldn't sell what we were selling before. So we got a new mission statement. We're going to sell this new product, all hands on deck, and we're going to try to launch this new product. And we're going to try to get this out to customers ASAP. What does that mean? That means that their other product isn't as profitable anymore. AI came and tackled to take up some of that marketplace, some of the market space or something else. So they said, you know what? It's more competitive now. We have a lot of overhead with salaries. So what are we going to do? We're going to free up some cash and we're going to let some people go. And then what do? You're going to be like, oh gosh, not going to be let go. So what do? I need to make budget adjustments. And when it comes to budget adjustments, Americans do not like hearing that. And to that, I got a few comments actually saying like, hey, no, nobody in my circle does that. That's all nonsense. That's all fake news and everything else. And to that, I tell you that I try to make these points all the time in my videos that, hey, just because they don't come out and strictly tell you doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. Because you don't, if this was one of your friends, you don't want to be classified as a loser. Oh, he's financing his groceries. Oh, he's not doing great. Or hey, he's not doing that. And it takes a lot of courage for people to actually say that. And so if somebody comes to you and says that, they actually have huge amount of courage to tell you that, and you must be a really, really good friend. Because if you're not that good of a friend and they're not going to tell you, then you don't know about it. And if you're just in your little bubble living and saying, oh, everybody in my circle's doing great, you don't know. And when I look at the data, and this is what I'm constantly trying to say, look at the data, look at Klarna, doubled. More Americans are using it, about a third of Americans, and delinquencies are up. And where do they use it? Walmart, they use it for all these other places. And at Walmart, they're most likely not getting beds and TVs and defaulting on those. No, they're probably getting groceries and doing all this other stuff, just trying to skate by. And once they're trying to skate by, all of a sudden it's like, ooh, I can't make it. And so then all of a sudden you're delinquent. And then Klarna's like, holy moly, we have more delinquencies than ever. And it is just because of all this added pressure from peers, from people around saying like, hey, you gotta do good, and it's the American way, and you gotta move out, and you gotta do all this. And nobody's gonna strictly up tell you, hey, how's it going? Oh, I financed my groceries today with Klarna Afterpay, and I'm gonna pay my $49 grocery bill over 4 weeks in 4 installments. Nobody's gonna say that. And if they do, let me know in the comments below. I just don't know anybody. And when I look at people, they're prideful. They don't want to share financial struggles. They don't really want to come out and say stuff. So yeah, it's different with student loans, because student loans are just like, you kind of been dukes into it and it's kind of openly more talked about. But personal debt isn't that much talked about, and people don't want to say, oh, I actually finance my groceries because I'm just struggling right now, because everything is literally so expensive. And so when you're looking at these delinquencies, that's going to really, really hurt these people, because they're going to get their car repoed, they're going to lose their car, it's going to ding their credit even more, and then they have to go out and get another car, because in the United States, you got to have one, because you got to drive around. And yeah, there's a few cities where you don't, but in most cities, they're just not walking friendly. And so then all of a sudden, you need another car, and then you got to go to a buy here, pay here, or something else, and it is going to cost you an arm and a leg. But it's going to really, really suck for your image, and that's going to hurt. I'm telling you, going up the food chain is always nicer. So when you go from a Toyota to a Mercedes, and then that is always a real nice step. But then going from a Mercedes to a 2009 Prius isn't going to be the step that people are going to look at and be like, huh, they're not doing too well, right? And neighbors will know. And then that's why they say keeping up with the Joneses. So when one of your neighbors gets a new nice F-150, you don't want to go from your nice Mercedes to a early 2000 car, right? Because that means, hey, something happened or something else, and then you had to downgrade. And I don't buy into all that kind of keeping up with the Joneses, because life is so expensive in the United States. And I've been telling you guys this all along, that when they say, oh, tourism and all this other stuff, people don't come to the United States. Yeah, because just even traveling, one of the people in my comment section said, even traveling within the United States, just a few day trip, if you're not going to sleep in your car, if you want a hotel, it's going to cost you $1,000, because 2 nights at a $200 a night hotel, because even Motel 6s now, they used to be affordable. Now they're so expensive, and this is what's happening. They went down in quality, up in price, like everything else. So when I used to come to the United States, when I was a little toddler, and we went to Disneyland with my family, my mom and dad always stayed at Motel 6s and Best Westerns. And they were pretty decent. We just never really had issues, but that one we could afford. And it wasn't bad places, but now when you look at them, it is just bad, and they are very, very expensive. And so this is what's going on with everything. Groceries are up, everything is up. And people aren't going to come out and tell you, hey, you know what? I'm just not doing good financially. They're just not going to do that. And unless you are coming from a place from no judgment, what is very hard to do, and just being like, yeah, I hear you, people aren't want to share that with you personally. So this is just a video of me basically saying like, hey, just because you're not seeing it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Because man, I get a lot of comments, oh my gosh, this isn't happening, not in my area is doing great. Just because your area is doing great and your class of income is doing great, or your trade or whatever you're in, or your industry is doing great, doesn't mean that the rest of people are in. When you look at truck drivers, they're not doing great. And other people that have been laid off, tech workers and a whole bunch of other people, office workers and all these other things, are not doing great. I just spoke to somebody that was working in IT in Southwest Florida, and she's been unemployed for a year. And she's been trying to get back in and just can't, because it's so competitive. People are now starting to, hey, we're willing to move. We're going to do way more things than we did during COVID. It's like, I don't need to move. And all of a sudden now, people are like, I'm ready to move. I just need a job. They're job downgrading. So they were a manager. Now they're going to be an individual contributor again. And they're moving down the career ladder because they're like, I just need to be hired. I just need money coming in. I don't care if I work 60, 70 hours a week. I just need money. And a lot of people are like that in that boat, like, oh my gosh, I did that. And then we had all this COVID money come around, where a few years ago we were just dumping money into the economy. And then we had the virus going on, and people said, you know what, we're remote now. And so people moved to these remote areas, got the cost of living decreased, increased and kept the same pay. So what did effectively happen? They moved to a lower cost of living, same pay, so they effectively made way more money. And now they got to move back because they're back in the office, and all of a sudden they're making a lot less because everything went up so much. So they should have just stayed put and didn't do anything. But it is just brutal where we're looking at what kind of times we're in, where everything is just going up like this, and companies are also making more money, but they're not willing to share that with you, and they're not gonna say, you know what, we're gonna hire more people. No. It is all that money that they're making, all that profit, everything is dumped into AI development, and it is dumped into AI revolution in actually making sure that, hey, you're gonna retrain your replacement. And this is what these companies are trying to do. Hey, if we are the first to market where we can cut labor cost 90 to 95%, or let's say 80 or 75%, we can take over huge market shares, because then we can say, hey, our labor cost is so much lower and we can offer it so much cheaper. Basically that restaurant, Flippy the robot that does that fries, French fries, and does the fryer, he works for about $3.50 an hour, and he can do a job at 2 that would cost 30. So here we go, decrease the price by a gigantic amount, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, other places cannot stay and cannot compete with that, because then you can say, hey, we're up here, so what can we do? We are going to decrease our prices for a certain time to down here where we make almost no profit, but we're going to run all of our competition out of business, and then we're going to increase prices again. And I think this is also what Elon Musk is going to do with his robo taxis, that he's going to kill Waymo, he's going to kill Uber and everything else, because he says we're going to launch and we're going to have it such cheaply done that it's not worth you going anywhere else, because we can offer it so cheaply. And then all of a sudden he's going to be like, you know what? When there's no competition left, what you do, you increase prices again, because you're the only one left standing. And that's the price that Uber did when they subsidized rides and get the word out, do everything else. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, actually we need to go up a little bit. And then they said, hey, we're gonna have to increase prices again. And all of a sudden it's like, these taxi cabs were actually not that much more expensive than these Uber rides now, because hey, once we took the subsidies away, we're actually giving a lot of money towards Uber, and the drivers don't get nothing. And so yeah, it's gonna be AI revolution in every industry. And people have been so mad about, oh, nursing, that's not gonna happen. Oh yeah, every industry. And unless you're self-employed and you can provide value, you gotta figure out how you can work with AI and with being on top of the trends, and kind of figure it out. And it's like, hey, let me increase my market value. Let me go to conferences. Let me see how my department can stand out. How can my department get more money? How can my department do all this if you're a leader? And if you're a contributor, make sure that you're super efficient, that you can use AI implementation for your work to be, hey, I'm better, I can do more work with AI with less stress than my peers can do. Because at the end of the day, nobody is gonna say, you know what, Jimmy, I'm gonna quit so you don't have to. Nope. It's everybody for themselves. It's almost like the Hunger Games. It's either they're gonna fire you or they're gonna fire your cubicle neighbor. So who is it gonna be? And nobody's gonna say, oh, I'll go, unless they're in retirement age. They're gonna say, you know what, actually, I think it's your turn to get let go. So yeah, it is brutal, it is hard. You gotta fight for what is yours. And now is not the time where you ask people in interviews, what's your work-life balance like? Be like, out. And this is just the times we're in. Is it great? Is it bad? No, it's just a short period of time in a whole lifespan, right? And people always say, oh, this isn't right and everything else. Hey, there's high tides, there's low tides. There's times where people had an infinite amount of free money and they've leased Uruses and got Lambos and Cybertrucks and did all kinds of stuff. And now we're seeing like, hey, you gotta adapt to the times, and you gotta just be vigilant. You gotta read the news, and not just listen to one news stations and constantly listening to that one. You gotta tune around a little bit, mix them together, divide it by however many channels you do, and like, yeah, that's probably right. And so yeah, that's it. And that was my advice. Just increase your market values, make connections with people and meet them in person, go to trade shows, go do all these other things, hand out cards, make sure that you're nicely dressed. I know I say that, but you would be surprised how many people can't get it together. They can't get themselves out of bed. They have anxiety to meet people. They can't do a proper handshake. It just starts with all kinds of basic stuff like that. But yeah, this is it for this video. Look at how gorgeous Las Vegas is today. I'm at Lone Mountain Park again. This is Lone Mountain. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about all this. And if you haven't, please like and subscribe. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about all this. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.